Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 137. Today, talking what stops you from property developing. I'm going to really dig into this and get you asking yourself a few questions. So perhaps you end up with the answer to why you're not doing what you really want to do. Let's jump into episode 137. Hello and welcome to episode 137, solo episode today. What stops you property developing? Now, I have got some great questions for you to ask yourself, and I've got some great solutions as well today. So for those of you who don't know, I work one-on-one with a lot of the mentoring students, but I've worked as a coach for a long time, a business coach, a property coach, a life coach, a health coach, you name it, I've coached it. But they are my areas of expertise, really. I started off in the health and fitness industry, and I've owned businesses, and I actually studied to be a coach. So I'm not just someone who did something a few times and decided to become a coach. I am a certified coach. So my way of coaching people is a brain-based way of coaching, brain-based way, which meaning what I get people to do is think for themselves and come up with their own answer. Because when you come up with your own answer and you're allowed time to do that, you're more than likely going to achieve what it is you need to achieve or want to achieve. Okay, so before we kick in, I got the book as usual, Property Millionaires Exposed. Who wins it this week? Well, this week it goes to Deepak Sachdev. Deepak, this book is in the post to you, and I know you're going to enjoy it. So let us know how you find it. And you know the rules, page 121, that's where you learn about property developing. Anyway, let's talk about why you're not property developing. Because I speak to a lot of people, I answer a lot of calls, and everyone I speak to wants to become a property developer. That's why they generally will be talking to me in some way. They want to do it now, or they want to do it in the future, or they know it's part of their life's journey. They see what property development does for them, meaning they know that it's a way they can make money. They know that it's a way they can change their lives. They just have a feeling that they don't want to be working in the rat race in the 9 to 5, selling their money for time. They want to make bigger chunks of money, and they want a different lifestyle. And that's generally the people that I speak to. Now, the interesting thing about the people I speak to, because there are a massive array of people, they come in different places and spaces. So some I speak to have money. Some have money and don't want to use it. Some have no money. Some know they need other people's money. Some people have great big dreams. Some people have a plan. Some people have no plan. So they come to me in so many different ways. And the same goes with the level of knowledge that they have. And now, full disclaimer, we do sell education. So for the keyboard warriors who like to put advertorial, it's my podcast. I can say what I like. Off you go if you're not interested. But what I am going to talk about is what stops you. So you do need education. Yes, you often I might speak to somebody who thinks that they can learn it by Googling little bits, or their friend will tell them because they've done a development. And you will learn a certain amount doing that for sure. But the person who's teaching you doesn't know what you don't know. And that's where the problems are. If you don't know what you don't know, you will have knowledge gaps. And I've done enough workshops where people come and they've been developing, or they've done one or two, and they say, oh my gosh, I get it now. I've just plugged in all my holes, and it just increases your level of confidence, and you're more likely to move forward, that way. But let's go right back to the newbies. Why are you not developing? What is the reason you give yourself today? So you're listening now, you think, what is the reason I'm not doing that? What is that you believe that you need? But what is that story that you're telling yourself? Because there'll be a story, a reason that you're not. Even though you want to, you might be waiting for a certain event to happen, which could be you got to get married, or you're having a baby, or you need to have a certain job, or you need to have a certain amount of money in the bank. Because I call these life rules. They're just a form of self-sabotage, really. But be very careful of the life rules you give yourself, because if you have given yourself a rule, I need to wait until then, even though you really want to, ask yourself, do I really? if you want to do property development, whether you do our course or somebody else's, do you really need to wait for that thing? Do you really need to? And is that reason that you're waiting really more around a reason of self-sabotage, meaning you're putting it off because it's easier to put it off than it is to do it? That is one reason, a life rule around that. And that is definitely a form of self sabotage, because if you ask anyone who is doing property development, they would all say they wish they started earlier. So if you've given yourself a rule about waiting for that particular thing to happen, maybe question that and think, do I really need to? Do I really need to wait for that thing to happen? Something else that people do is they believe they need to have a certain amount of money. And now, don't get me wrong, when somebody comes to us with no money, I am very honest about the journey they are going to be having, straight up about their journey, what they're going to need to do, because you can be a property developer and do property development with no money. But there are things, there are boxes that you need to tick to do that. You need to, bloom and well, know what you're talking about. You need to be confident and you need to be competent. You must be confident and competent. You need to understand feasos. You have to know how a feasibility looks, is, works. You need to be able to put one together. You need to understand due diligence. You can't just think the grandiose, yes, I'll use other people's money, and talk yourself up, but not have that substance behind you, not have that level of knowledge that is vital that you need to have. So when you believe that you could do property development with no money, yes, you can, but you need to know what you're doing, because what you're going to need to do is you're going to have conversations with people to invest with you. And to do that, and I work a lot in the investment space. I work with our mentoring students about how to speak with our investors, how to get investors, how to communicate with them, how to put together information memorandums. How you speak to them is so important. And just how you almost, I'm going to say the word nourish or encourage an investor to come on with you, because there's two parts to that. One, you have to be so clued up. You can't make mistakes because it's money. You're using somebody else's money, and they have to be able to trust you. The other thing is you need to be very competent and yeah, super competent. But the other thing that you really do need to be to communicate with investors, you need to nourish. What I can't remember the word I'm looking for, but encourage them to stay on the journey with you, because so that is really about establishing a relationship. Because very often when an investor wants to come on board with you, or they're keen to be part of your opportunity, and that's a key word, opportunity, you are offering an opportunity. Sometimes the opportunity that you're offering isn't now. It's maybe 3 months' time or 2 months' time or 6 months' time. So you need to know that they are definitely in with you. They're not going to say, yep, definitely in, and then change their mind when push comes to shove, or it actually needs to happen. So you need to have built that relationship with them and kept in communications with them about where you are in the process. The other thing, when you have an investor on board, if you have no money and that's your reason for not property developing, is you definitely need to help them understand that they can trust you, and you need to be trustworthy. So if I'm looking at property developing and I'm very much having to go down the investor route, I would take a plumb serious look at what my social media displays. I would have a look at what I post. I would check out my LinkedIn profile. I would make sure that I'm squeaky clean and that I am professional, that I'm a professional person and I am somebody who's trustworthy that you would want to invest with. Now, this is something that I do a lot myself. Currently capital raising for a couple of projects. I've held two fingers up for those that are watching me on YouTube. So I am currently capital raising for two projects. And so people might email me and say, I'm interested. Now, the thing is, if you are nurturing, that's the word I was after, nurturing. If you are nurturing an investor because you don't have any money, or you're going to have to use somebody else's money for your property development, or you simply choose to, then you don't just give out the information straight away. My advice to you, and this is the way that I do it, is I have a conversation with them first, because sometimes people just want your info, your IP. They want to know what you know. They think they can reverse engineer it. They really think, oh, I'll go do that there because there's obviously something working there. So I have a conversation with an investor and I say, hey, that's awesome, and if you are to like what I send through to you, will you, what's the amount you're thinking? And is it cash or self-managed, or how is it coming? Is it a line of credit? And what's your timeline? Because I need to know that I meet your investment criteria. So I say that to them as well, because it does have to meet and it does have to match. You do need to match the other person's investment criteria. So that's the second part of the question around, I don't have any money, so I can't do property developing. Not true. You can. And one of the deals we've got happening right now, there's no money in. And plenty of our mentoring students do deals with no money in. Not all, and it's a different journey. You've got to work smarter, I would say. But that's definitely something that happens. Now, the other thing that stops people from property developing is their fear. The fear of actually taking the action, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of getting it wrong. And there's a story inside them reminding them that they've been wrong before, or perhaps a school teacher or a parent when they were younger or growing up. You never get the stuff right. You always do it wrong. That sort of stuff has an impact. And you may be carrying that inside you without even realizing. So if you are in fear of taking those steps, it'll show up in ways like you might spend a lot of time on Facebook and getting your dopamine hits from there. You look at, why we go on social media, or you might just be posting stuff that is stopping you from spending that time, A, learning property development, B, learning about your patches council website, C, just choosing a patch, D, learning how to use our feasibility calculator. See, I said our feasibility calculator, but our feasibility calculator. So you might find yourself being on plenty of Facebook pages about property development, but not taking the action. You're an active sideliner. And is that you? I'm going to ask you, if you're an active sideliner, you really need to stop and think, this scrolling through and liking and commenting and posting about nothing isn't actually taking me forward. You need to think, what can I do to ensure that I actually start taking small steps forward? Key there, small steps. You've got to take small steps forward. And with those small steps, you'll start gaining momentum. And when you start gaining momentum, you start feeling good about yourself. When you start feeling good about yourself, what do? You carry on, and before you know it, you are well on your journey. So it is a journey of momentum. And so it's a journey of small steps. It's like, how do we move a mountain one rock at a time? How do we climb a mountain one step at a time? How do we eat an elephant one bite at a time? It's all about that one at a time. So if I was to ask you right now, and if you feel like you've fallen into that trap, you're there, you're on the fringes, you're watching everyone, but you're not taking action and you'd like to, and it could be a combination of the other examples that I've given, but are you doing that? Is that you? What you can do is think, okay, I need to create a plan, and make sure that your plan doesn't start with, I will do it when, like, example number one, when you've ticked a particular box, when you've gotten over that life rule. Let's not go there. Let's start with, okay, I will start my journey, and let's not go to the end result. Let's go to the first result, which would be, I will get educated. If you've already got a course, then I will revisit the course. I will watch it and I'll get excited about it. And if that's too big a step, okay, I'm going to find where I can carve out time in my busy life to start re-educating or starting educating myself on property development. And if you are already educated enough and you're still not taking action, what's that thing that you need to be doing? Is it finding a patch? Do you need to decide on a patch? And the great thing about making that decision on a patch, choosing and just going deep and really clarifying and understanding fully what the requirements are for that patch, meaning what the council requirements are, what the purchaser requirements are, all of the requirements that you need to know about that patch. The beauty of doing that is it's going to help you to start those small steps. It's just about the baby steps. So which is it? What is it for you? Do you need to learn how to do feasibilities? Have you never done one? And our one comes with a great tutorial, but remember I said it starts with carving out that time to learn that first thing. So ask yourself honestly, what is stopping you today from doing property development? And and then just think to yourself, okay, my answer is this. Write it down. What is your answer? What came to your head? I'll ask you again. What is stopping you right now from doing property development? Your answer is what? Is it time? Because if it's time, that's self-sabotage. Is it, I've got to wait till then? You've given yourself a life rule, another form of self-sabotage. Is it, I don't have enough money? You can still do it. It's just a bit of a different road. So if you're waiting until you have a certain amount of money, or you're thinking, I don't know what you're thinking, you're waiting for a fairy godmother to come and wave her magic wand, I'll be your fairy godmother. There you go. I've waved my wand. You can still do it. It's just a different road for you. So which example is it for you, or is it perhaps something else? Is it well, I've just gone to time, but is it outside of your comfort zone? You just feel frightened because you're just frightened. It's the unknown. And many of you know that I'm a personality profiler. So I love looking at the examples of the people who get trapped in certain places. So if you're what I call a conductor, which on the disc profile is the high C, the person who's all about the detail, if you're that person, you'll definitely be more likely to give yourself a life rule, because your conductors, the high Cs, are more often liking things to be perfect. They love things to be right. And remember, everyone's personality is perfect just the way it is, but that would be your tripping point, that you'd be tripped up on, or your tipping point. So that'll be the place that will be probably the one that would hold you up. You've given yourself a rule because you want everything to be perfect. And that's why analysis paralysis comes into play, because, things have to be absolutely perfect. The timing needs to be right. So you give yourself new rules to live by. So if that's you, have a think about that. And it's okay. But if it's slowing you down to get to where you want to go in life, then maybe think, okay, how can I step around that? And often self-awareness is the best. Just think, yes, okay, this is the thing that trips me up, and it's me, a form of self-sabotage that I roll with. And it usually means that I'm a little bit afraid. So if you're feeling a little bit afraid because you don't want to take action, and it's easier to sabotage and not do anything, so you give yourself a life rule, or at the time just isn't perfect right now and you'd rather wait till when it is. And trust me, time will never be perfect. There will never be a perfect time, because as soon as that first tick off is done, you've moved jobs, or you've gotten married, you've got your baby underway, or whatever, the next thing comes along. There will always be something. So you, as a property developer, we need to learn to work alongside whatever it is we're doing. We have to find that extra time. We have to carve something out. We have to focus on it. We know that where focus goes, energy flows. We have to focus on property development. Is it your focus right now? Or is your focus something else? Because if you're very serious and you've given yourself a life rule, well, you can't, well, then maybe you need to change focus. Okay, so that would be more likely to be the conductor, which that high C. What about the high I? What do they do? Well, the high I is what I call the clown, because their main driver in life is to have fun. So they'll be more likely mucking around, doing everything else but getting distracted, playing on Facebook, thinking, yes, definitely going to do property development, going to spend some time learning how to do the feasibility, going to go through the course again. And what happens? Oh no, got trapped on Facebook. Oh no, decided to call into the pub and see my mate. No, decided to go away for a girls' weekend. They decide to put other things in the way. And it's always they're always excited at the beginning, the clown, and they're often great starters, but they're never great finishers. So if that's you, if you're finding that you are just not making and committing to the time, then again, self-awareness, realize that. Now, have I sort of pressed your button yet? What about for those who are just fearful of just taking action and just see it as too big a thing to do? So that's often what I call the counselor, our high S, and that is because they don't really like change. So if you're a person who doesn't really like change, but you're going to have to carve some out of your day, maybe some time, or you might have to sell a property to get started, or you're going to have to do something different, whatever change means for you, Maybe it means not going to the gym every day of the week and having to pull it back to 3 or 4 days a week and spending your time researching or studying or learning something. Then that would mean you're changing something, and it makes the counselor, the high S, the person who likes status quo, the person who likes peace, it makes them uncomfortable. So if you feel uncomfortable about making a change and moving forward, so that's another form of self-sabotage, and that's the fear. And then the last one is the captain, the person who's, full steam ahead and got a lot going on. They would often be trapped. Their biggest one. Why are they not property developing? Very often it would be time, because they are doing so much. So they're doing something and they add more to it and they add more to it and they add more to it. So they end up not having enough time, again, not enough focus on choosing property development to be the thing that they really want to do, and to be that one thing that they focus on. Instead, they're doing a lot of little things, or generally for a captain, a lot of big things. So often a high achiever, but sometimes when they're high achieving, they're just not focusing on the thing that's important to them. So how about you? Have I ticked any of your boxes yet? Because I have plenty of other reasons that you're not property developing. Sometimes it's low self-esteem. We feel like we're just not good enough, and that could be anybody. We often, well, to be completely honest, it's more likely to be the conductor or the counsellor, less likely to be the clown or the captain. But often a lower self-esteem, just don't think that it's possible for them. But it can be anybody. And if you are one of those people, you're not achieving what you want in life, and it doesn't even have to be about property development, it can be about anything. Once you start believing that, why not me? Why not you? If you're watching me on YouTube, look into my eyes right now. Why not you? Why not you? That was a great conversation I had with the Kipus. There was one of their podcasts was back a few podcasts ago now. I'm unsure what number. But I so often remember looking down the camera when I was working with them. They were mentoring students, or they are mentoring students. Big shout out to those guys. Love them. But that was my talk for them. Why not you? And I think that, why not you? Why not any of you? All of this has been done before. So why not you? Why are you not doing the thing that you want to do? Property development is life changing. When you finish a development, oh my goodness, there is money that comes, and that can be absolutely life changing. And not just that, you've created jobs for people, you have created homes for people. You've done so much for society as well. So why not you? If property developing is something that you want to do, well, then do it. Then do it. I just give you the permission right now, and ask yourself, what's really stopping you? Are you just frightened? Are you self-sabotaging so you don't have to, but you really want to? Are you waiting for the perfect time? You've given yourself a life rule. What is your reason for not doing it? And then, if you are still listening now and thinking, oh, she's probably right, why aren't I? Why are you not? Maybe write it down. Get it out of your head. When we hold a lot of information in our head, it just goes round in circles. Write down, I'm not property developing because. And then look at that and ask yourself, is this true? And ask yourself again, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And then give yourself the reasons it's not true. Because if you really want to do it, you will do it. And every single time I've worked with somebody who has taken the step and achieved the thing that they want to achieve, whether it be in property development, whether it be in weight loss, whether it be in starting a business, I don't even care which realm it is that I've worked with them. When you achieve that thing that you want in life, you will just feel absolutely amazing. So what are your takeaways for this episode? I want you to take away, write down your reason for not doing what you want to do. Ask yourself, is it a valid reason? Keep asking yourself. And then check in. You can book in and have a chat with me if you want. There's always a link below to my diary. Another thing is maybe look at your mindset. Do you have a growth mindset? Do you think that you can learn? You can actually understand what you need to understand to get started? Because absolutely anybody can. Anyone can learn anything. You just have to spend your time and commit to doing it. And like I say about everything, it's those small steps. So this is taking the time, the small steps to learn. And perhaps you aren't the best learner. It just takes you a little bit longer. You just have to do it a couple more times. So take those small steps. Be clear about what you want. believe that you can, because the more of those small steps that you take, the stronger your sense of self-belief will be. And then you will start to learn, which shows you that you have a growth mindset, that you can learn what it is that you want. So you take away CBA, clarity, belief, action. Be clear about what you want. I want to be a property developer. Believe it is possible for you. And to do that, challenge those things that you're giving yourself reasons or excuses for. And then take action in the form of the tiniest steps. You must get educated. You must believe that it's possible for you. You must do it right. And trust me, why not you? You can do it. So Bob will be back next week. We've got a fabulous episode in store, but I hope you find that useful. I hope I've inspired you a wee bit to take some action, and I will catch you next week. Bye for now.